Well, General Motors on the defense right now after they announced massive job cuts on Monday. President Trump is now threatening to cut the automakers' subsidies, in particular to people that buy their cars. He tweeted, "Nothing being closed in Mexico and China. The U.S. saved General Motors, and this is the thanks we get. We are now looking at cutting all at GM subsidies, including for electric cars." But should the president get this involved in a company's business? Let's bring in Tom Essaye of the Sevens Report, Tom. And that is the question here is, the president, can he really do anything when it comes to the business and, more importantly, the tax laws that are already in the books to subsidize those people, those Americans that buy electric cars?
Good morning, ladies, and thank you for having me on. The short answer is no, they really can't do that much. Right? A lot of the subsidies that were put into place in laws in Congress. But that goes back to a bigger question of why are these subsidies in place for a massive corporation like GM that has access to billions in capital? Why is the government trying to sort of change the consumer's behavior via subsidies with GM? I think that's sort of the bigger issue the government should be looking at.
All right. I want you to listen to what Larry Kudlow had to say. He addressed the issue yesterday. He was speaking at the afternoon briefing at the White House. And these are really fighting words from him. Take a listen.
He believes, as frankly the Prime Minister of Canada, Trudeau, believes, that the USMCA deal was a great help to the automobile industry and to auto workers. And yet, GM comes in right after the deal. So there's great disappointment there.
All right. So he's saying, look, the government does a lot to help automakers, and that was part of the trade negotiations especially with North America. Thanks a lot. I mean, they can be angry, but again, is it really right for them to step in at this point?
Well, they certainly, I can understand why they are angry. I mean, look, as a GM shareholder, you always want GM to do what's best for the shareholders. But sure. Yeah, I mean, if they're negotiating this massive trade deal, and look, everybody knows NAFTA and then the new NAFTA, the MCA agreement, it does have a lot to do with the car manufacturing industry. They should be upset, but I think that they need to go back and figure out, wait a second, why are we so involved in this industry anyway from a government standpoint? And say, is there a way we can pull that back and let the market decide?
Well, we did bail them out with nearly $50 billion back in the day. I mean, the government did bail out the automakers, and I think we all remember that. But at the same time, look, let's talk about the president's rhetoric here. I mean, we've seen this play out before with him. He went after Amazon. He said they were taking advantage of the U.S. Postal Service. I'm not sure anything really came out of that. Then he goes after Harley-Davidson because they decided to ship some production. They're dealing with, of course, tariff concerns and a slowdown in hog sales in the U.S. I mean, this is business at the end of the day, and nothing really happened. Do you think GM kind of gets away with this and kind of moves forward and does business as usual?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, unless you're going to get a law changing Congress, which is now very unlikely with the split, yes, this will sort of go away, but this is also the president's MO, and this is kind of egg on his face to a point where, he has been about jobs, about bringing manufacturing back to the United States. If I were sitting in his chair, I would not be happy with GM either, because those were big, kind of ugly headlines. GM cutting 15,000 jobs. That is not the kind of messaging he wants in this economy right now.
All right, Tom Essaye. Certainly we're going to keep talking about this till we get a decision. Tom, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.